Welcome students. Today we will solve another problem on isometric view. Let us read the statement first. Draw isometric view of triangular pyramid of base 25 mm and height 40 mm resting centrally on top of a triangular prism of base 50 mm and height 50 mm. So in order to solve this problem, first of all, we have to draw isometric view of the solid which is lying at the bottom. It means we have to draw isometric view of triangular prism first. In order to draw isometric view of triangular prism, we have to first construct a triangle on the grid sheet whose size will be equal to the size of the base of the prism, which is 50 mm given in this question. So let us first construct a triangle of 50 mm. So align your scale with this row and draw a thick line of 50 millimeters. Then we will use compass and we will open compass to 50 millimeters. We will place compass at this end of this line and we will draw a continuous thin arc. Then we will put compass at this end of this line and we will draw another thin arc. Then we will join these points with thick line to get the second side of the triangle. And now let us draw the third side of the triangle by joining these 2 points. So now we are ready with the triangle. Now after this we will apply box method and we will enclose this triangle inside the box. So before that, let us name this triangle as A, B, C. Now let us enclose this triangle inside a box. So for that, line your scale at this end of the triangle and draw a continuous thin line. And similarly, place your scale at this corner, that is B, and draw a continuous thin line. Then place your scale at C in horizontal position and align your scale carefully and construct another thin line. So now we have enclosed this triangle inside a box. So let us name the box AB12. So name of the box is AB12 and we have kept box continuous thin. Now first of all we will draw isometric of this box. So for that, what we will do, we will line our scale with this row, draw a continuous thin line of around 20 millimeters. Now consider this point, place your protector on this point and draw 2 isometric axes. Means first of all we have to mark 30 degrees on both sides to draw those 2 isometric axes. So from this side let us mark 30 degree over here. So from other side also mark 30 degree. Then we will align these 2 points and we will draw a continuous thin line of any length at the start. So this is the first isometric line. Then we will align these 2 points and we will draw the second isometric line and we will keep it continuous thin and draw any length at the start. After this we will name this point as point A, which is the lower left corner of this box. On this axis we will cut length of the box, which is AB. On this axis we will cut width of the box, which is A2. So let us first measure the length of the box with the help of compass. So length is equal to the size of the triangle, which is 50 over here in this case. So put your compass at A and cut this axis to 50. That is equal to the length of the box AB. Now mark this point B Now measure the width of the box, which is A2, with the help of compass, and mark that width on this axis with a continuous thin line. So let us label this point as 2. Now we will complete the isometric of this box. So for that we will measure A2 and will mark from point B. Continuous thin arc. Then we will measure this distance again, which is 50, and will mark from 2, which will intersect the previous arc, and we will get an intersection. So this point is point 1. Now after that we will connect these points with continuous thin line and these points with continuous thin line to get the isometric of the box, which is a parallelogram in this case because box is a rectangle. So let us erase these extensions. Now inside this isometric of the box we will draw isometric of this triangle. So for that we have to locate 3 points of the triangle A, B, C. Now the points A and B are shared by the triangle AB. So these 2 points are already located over here. Now in order to draw isometric of this triangle we have to locate the third point, which is C. So let us locate this point. So we will use compass, and this point is on side 1, 2. So measure this distance 1C, which will be equal to half of 50, 25. Then put your compass at 1 and cut this length 1, 2 with an arc, and that will be called as point C. Then we will connect point AC and BC to get the isometric of the triangle. We will draw these lines thin at the start. Now we are ready with the base of the triangular prism. Now height of the triangular prism is given to us as 50 mm. So in order to draw triangular prism, first of all we will complete isometric of this box. So height of the box will be equal to the height of the prism. So it means now we will raise these 4 corners to 50 mm. So from these 4 corners we will draw continuous thin line of 50 mm. So let us draw continuous thin line of 50 mm at this point first. Then from this point we will draw continuous thin line of 50 millimeters. Then from point B we will draw another continuous thin line, and make sure lines must be vertical. Now let us draw from this point continuous thin line of 50 mm. Now we will join these points at the top. Now we are ready with the isometric of the box. Now inside this isometric we will draw isometric of the triangular prism. So for that we need to create the top face of the triangular prism. So that we can do by a similar method which we have adopted for the bottom face. That means we simply have to measure this distance 1C and will mark that distance from this point. Then we will join these 2 points with continuous thin lines at the start. So now you can see we are done with the top face of the prism. Now we will connect these 2 points So now we are ready with isometric of the triangular prism. But we are keeping everything thin at the start because at the top of this prism we have to show the isometric view of triangular pyramid. And that solid will hide some of the edges of this triangular prism. So at the start we don't know which edges will be hidden for what length. So we have kept everything thin at the start. So let us now draw isometric view of the triangular pyramid. So triangular pyramid is resting centrally on the top of this triangular prism. It means first of all we need to find the center of this triangular face. Now let us locate the center of this triangular face. So for that what we will do? We will measure this distance again with the help of compass, which is 25 mm, and we'll mark that distance from this point, which will give us the mid of this side. Then we will join these 2 points with continuous thin line. And center of this triangular face will lie somewhere on this center line. So let us see where it will lie. We will draw a vertical line over here with a continuous thin line, and we will draw another line from this corner which will be perpendicular to the opposite side. So these are called as medians. So where these two will intersect, that is the center of the triangular face. So now we will measure this distance from the base. This point is over here. So we will measure this distance. And we will cut this distance on this center line. That will be the center of this triangular face. So same distance we will cut on this edge and on the other edge to draw the second center line, which will help us to draw isometric view of the next solid. Now we have located the center of the top face of the triangular prism, and we have drawn 2 center lines also from that center, and these center lines will help us to draw isometric of the triangular pyramid, which is resting centrally on top of this triangular prism. So in order to draw isometric of this triangular pyramid, first of all we need to draw triangle of 25 mm, which is the base of this pyramid. So let us draw triangle of 25 mm. So for that we have to draw a thick horizontal line of 25 mm first. After that we will open compass to 25 millimeters, and we will place compass at this end of this horizontal line and we will draw one arc. Similarly, from the other end of this horizontal line, we will draw another arc, and we will join these points with thick lines to get the triangle whose side is 25 mm. Then we will enclose this triangle also inside the box. So from here we will draw a continuous thin line, and from this point also we will draw a continuous thin line, and from this point we will draw thin horizontal line, and we will raise the extensions. So we have enclosed this triangle inside the box. So let us name the triangle. Let us say this is A, B, C. Now let us name the rectangle also, A, B, 1, 2. Now after this we will draw isometric of this box first, that is A, B, 1, 2, by using this center and these 2 center lines. So on this center line we will draw the length of the box, and on this center line we will draw width of the box. We know the length of this box is equal to the length of this triangle, which is 25, and half of that is 12.5. So we'll open compass to half of that length, which is 12.5, and we will mark two arcs on this center line from the center. Means we'll put compass at the center and we'll mark one arc on this side and second arc on other side of the center line. Why we are doing this? Because we have to rest pyramid centrally. So we have divided the length of the base of the pyramid on both sides, half this side, half on other side. Now similarly, we will measure half of this width. So let us see how much width we are getting. So width over here is 21 millimeters. It means we have to open compass to 10.5 and we'll place compass at the center and we'll cut second center line on both sides of the center. So you can see we have drawn this as length of the box and this as width of the box. Now what we will do, we will use these 4 points to draw isometric of this box. Means we have to locate these 4 corners by using these 4 points. So let us first use these 2 points to locate this corner. So for that what we will do, we will first measure this distance, which is 10.5. Means we measured the distance of this point from the center, which is 10.5, and we'll mark the distance from the opposite point. We will draw a thin arc. Then we will measure this distance, which is 12.5, means distance of this point from the center, and mark from the opposite point. So we will obtain an intersection that represents this corner. Similarly, we will make use of these 2 points to draw this corner. So for that, we will measure this distance, which is 12.5, and will mark from opposite point. Then we will measure distance of this point from the center, which is 10.5, and will mark from the opposite point. So we have generated this corner. Okay, now let us use these 2 points. So measure this distance, it is again 10.5, and mark from opposite point. Then measure this distance, which is 12.5, and mark from opposite point. Similarly, use these 2 points now. So measure this distance, which is 12.5, mark from opposite point. Then measure this distance, which is 10.5, and mark from opposite point. So we have generated 4 intersections, and these represents 4 corners of this box. Now let us join these points with continuous thin lines to draw isometric of that box. After that, we will check, are these edges parallel to the outer box? Yes, these edges are parallel. It means isometric of this box, that is AB12, is correct. Now inside this isometric, we will draw isometric of this triangle. So for that we have to locate these 3 points, A, B, 1. You can see these 2 points are shared by triangle and the box. So these 2 points are already located here, A, B. Now we have to locate C, which is at the mid of 1, 2. So mid of 1, 2 is already located. This is C. So we have to connect these points with thin lines. So that will give us isometric of the triangle. So this is isometric of the triangle. Now we have to draw pyramid. So for that we have to find the center of this triangle. Now for that we need center of this triangle. So we will draw two center lines. One is already drawn. So we need second center line. For that what we will do? From this corner we will draw thin line perpendicular to the opposite side. And we will draw another line from this corner which will be perpendicular to the opposite side. Means we will have to draw two medians and the intersection of those will give us the center. So we will measure this center from here. So this point is over here. Then measure this distance from this figure and mark that point from this intersection. So this is the center of this triangle. So what we will do? We will draw axis of the pyramid from this center, which is 40 millimeters. So from this point we will draw thin vertical line of 40 millimeters. Then this is the apex of the pyramid. Now we will join apex to the corners of this triangle with thin lines at the start. And we will get isometric of the triangular pyramid. Now we will make visible edges thick. So let us start with upper solid first, which is the triangular pyramid. So for triangular pyramid, these edges will be visible to us, these two base edges. So let us make these thick over here. And these three slant edges will also be visible. And this base edge will be hidden, so we'll keep it thin. After that we will make visible edges of the prism thick. So this base edge, this edge will be visible, and these three vertical edges will also be visible. So let us make these thick. Then these two edges will be visible to us. So let us make these also thick. After that, this part and this part of the third edge will be visible. So let us make these also thick. So now we are ready with the isometric of the triangular pyramid resting centrally on top of triangular prism. Now what we need to do, we need to place dimensions. So let us place dimensions for this prism first. So let us place for its base, which is 50 mm. So we will leave 1 millimeter gap, continuous thin line. Over here also leave 1 millimeter gap, continuous thin line. We will keep these lines thin. Align your roller scale with this isometric axis, roll back by meters. Draw isometric dimension line. So this gap can be 10 or up to 15. Then we will draw closed field arrowheads on both sides. And we will write 50 in Gothic style. So after that we will place height of the prism. So place your scale aligned with this isometric axis, leave 1 meter gap, continuous thin line. Place your scale over here aligned with this isometric line, 1 meter gap, continuous thin line. Between these two, we will draw a vertical line over here, which will represent height of the prism. So add closed filter words on both sides of this dimension line. So we'll write over here 50. Now after that, we will place dimensions for this pyramid. So let us place dimension for this edge. So place your scale aligned with this isometric line. Leave 1 meter gap, continuous thin line. Then place your scale aligned with this isometric line. Leave 1 meter gap, continuous thin line. Align your roller scale with this edge, roll back by around 20 millimeters and draw a thin line over here parallel to this isometric line. Add closed filter words on both sides. So over here we will mention its base as 25 mm. Then after that we will place its height. So for that what we will do, we will place our scale in line with this center of the base of the pyramid, and the scale must be parallel to this isometric axis. So scale is placed at the center of the base of the pyramid and scale is parallel to this isometric axis. So from that center, leave 1 meter gap, draw a continuous thin line. Then use your roller scale, roll to the apex of the pyramid so that scale should remain parallel to the isometric axis. So draw another continuous thin line from the apex. So this line and this line, these two are parallel to the isometric axis. So in between these two lines, we will draw a vertical line over here, which will represent axis of the pyramid. So erase this extension. Then over here, we will place arrowheads and we'll mention its height as 40 in Gothic style. After that, we will place angles at the bottom. So for that, we need to extend this line on both sides. So add a curved dimension line, close filter words on both sides, and in Gothic style we will write 30 degrees. Similarly on other side, curved dimension line, close filter words on both sides. So we'll write over here 30 degrees in Gothic style. So now we are ready with our answer. I hope this answer is clear to you. Thank you very much.